Hi everybody, this is Dwayne with Modders Inc. And today we're going to be talking to the guys from BSMODS. These are the guys, if you just watched recently, that they won the competition, the NVIDIA MOD24, which was a modding event that lasted 24 straight hours. And not everybody probably watched it. I think you probably did have quite a few fans that did watch all the way through, which is amazing. And so how did this competition come about? I mean, how were you guys notified, or did like a last minute thing, like, hey, guess what? Next week you're going to be doing this?
No, we received an email from NVIDIA, and we were involved in a project earlier called GeForce Garage that they're doing a series of videos on different parts of a build. And so from that, I guess they just probably felt that we did a decent job or whatever. And they must have been working on this before, because they seem to have it worked out, all the details and everything. They shot us an email and said, hey, would you guys be interested in doing this? And we're like, oh God, I don't know. Let me think. Yeah, we were all in, so for sure. There was no hesitation, but so no, it was. I think we had what, a month?
4 to 6 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 6 weeks notice. But we didn't know the full details, and we couldn't talk about it, and so they really didn't give us all the information of what was going on, what the details would be specifically. So they kept us in the dark for the most part. Yeah.
When did you find out that it was going to be a 24-hour event? I mean, originally you thought, oh, it's going to be like over a couple of days, like 24 hours total, or then all of a sudden they came back and they said it's 24 hours straight?
We might have known that from the start.
I think we did know that from the start. So I know that was a big part of our thought process. It's like, wow, what can you do in 24 hours? And what steps do you have to skip, and which ones do you have to rush? And how can you actually do a real build in 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, how did you guys prepare for that? I mean, stay up for a couple of weeks, or?
We ended up staying up pretty late doing our case modding anyway. We burn a lot of midnight oil around here. So we didn't really do any kind of preparation that way. We road tripped down, which was a 12-hour drive, so it kind of had us already kind of on this long, extended,
crazy sleep cycle.
Yeah, crazy cycle. We had a lot of adrenaline going through our bodies. We were pretty psyched out for the competition and getting ready to start cutting and start drilling. And then preparation, we really didn't do anything. We prepped a couple photos and logos beforehand to go into our vinyl plotter. But other than that, we bought materials. We created a bunch of lists of tools and secondary lists and third list and a checkoff list, and made sure we didn't have, we had every tool and every piece of hardware we could come up with as far as screws and fasteners and, just everything we needed to mod with it.
Yeah, so you guys actually had to bring your own materials, right? All your tools, materials that we were going to use, everything.
Yeah, we took my full-size truck down and with canopy on it, and it was completely packed, top to bottom, front to back. We have some pictures of when we unloaded the truck and sat all our stuff out on the sidewalk when we got there. I mean, it looked crazy. There was a lot of stuff there, man, and yeah, we just wanted to make sure we don't get all the way there and then discover that we didn't have something, So it's better to be prepared and rather than be without, So could have made the difference between getting something done and not getting it done,
Yeah, but was there anything you guys did forget? You got maybe 12 hours into the drive and you went, oh crap, I forgot.
Yeah, adult diapers. Because we just figured we'd mod all the way through. If we had to go, we'd just go.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're ready to go, right?
Just let it go, man. Just let it go.
I'm kind of surprised. I really don't think there was anything. I know we grabbed a stepper drill bit in Home Depot because we weren't sure if we had both sizes that we needed there. But really, I think because that was probably the best preparation we did was because we had a couple lists of tools and we both kind of talked about it several times about what we needed. You know, so we had all our power tools, our air tools, hand tools. I mean, we had at least a half a ton of tools in the truck.
And there was a lot of stuff that we took. This is what was strange is when we're here at the shop, we use a lot of the same tools and like our belt sander, disc, combination belt and disc sander thing, and just a lot of stuff that we always seem to use here, and we didn't use any of that there. It was just really weird to not use some of the stuff that we normally use every day. So I guess it was just, part of it was that we really wanted to do as much as we could by hand and just, really emphasize that you don't have to have a lot of fancy tools, and so that's maybe why we did it, I guess. But if you saw the live feed, we were cutting. We just were using a jigsaw and a file and sandpaper and sanding blocks and stuff like that, man. And we were just in the cordless drill, a lot of that. We probably took way more stuff than we needed, but again, it was there if we needed it. So,
how much of the mod could you actually prepare beforehand, or when did you actually know what you're going to be doing?
So we could. The rule stated that the case had to be in the out of the box state. So because we were using a recycled case, we took all the existing hardware out of the chassis, but that was it. We didn't touch any rivets or bolts or any of the original hard drive cages. We didn't pull any of those out. All that stayed as it would have sat as just a case. And then, I think there wasn't really any preparation. And then as far as what we were doing, we were told we were going to use one of three themes, and the themes were outer space, electricity, and your favorite PC gaming moment. Yeah. And so we kind of prepped a little bit for all three themes. We had some ideas about putting like an Atlas V rocket body in the chassis, and we liked the big louvers that the case had a very kind of 80s NASA look anyway, so we liked that. We thought we could incorporate that into a space build. And electricity we wanted to do. We were thinking about doing some blue theme with it, and some lightning bolts, and we even looked at putting a Jacob's ladder in, but we were a little bit worried about
the magnetic.
A little bit of high voltage in there. I still think it would be the coolest case mod ever to have a Jacob's ladder snapping the whole time. But I mean, if it snaps your three GTX 980s at the same time, then that might not be as fun anymore. But
but you're right at NVIDIA. You just walk over and grab a couple more, though, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, we looked at doing some painting circuit boards and stuff, kind of doing like a airbrushing in some circuits and stuff like that, and that would have been a big time-consuming deal because that's a lot of fine airbrush stuff, and so with all the heavy modding that we were planning, it might not have happened. So, but it ended up we didn't really know what the theme was until we were into it about an hour, and finally I was like, do we even know the theme yet? And they were like, oh yeah, by the way, it's your favorite PC gaming moment. And I was like, okay, but we kind of knew the basics as far as case modification and fabrication work. It was going to happen no matter what theme it was. And so a lot of the theme portion just comes into play when we were going to do the paint, which was going to be towards the end anyway. So, it wouldn't have mattered a whole lot what the theme ended up.
But everybody did the same theme, correct?
That's
right. Yeah. So they announced the theme was your favorite PC gaming moment, and then everybody went from there. And I mean, it's as far as our preparation, I just saw the case at Rod's house one time, and I took some pictures with my phone, and that was it. I didn't see it again until we got there. So there was nothing prepared or anything. I mean, this was a thing where we showed up with the case that we were going to be doing, pull it out of the box, and get ready to go. So no behind the scenes, stuff or anything. It was 24-hour build, and that was it.
So everybody was able to pick out their own case that they wanted to do instead of starting off with the same type of case. How did you come up that you wanted to use an old server case?
Yeah, so I've always, a lot of the cases we end up building are for case manufacturers, and we're, like, we have to use, sometimes we say, oh, we want to use this case that you have, but usually it's like, oh, the case is the focus, and we have to use this, a certain brand case, certain model case. And so you get tied into that or tied into a partner. And we don't really get the option of, going like retro. And I've always been inspired by some of the retro builds where, they mold in a turbine fan into an old gateway computer. I think I've seen some by Bill Owen and on Modders Inc. There's a whole bunch of great retro builds out there. And so I've always wanted to do one. So I kind of started looking around like, man, can I find some old chassis? And I also wanted something kind of big and flashy because I knew we were going up against Lee Harrington and Darth Beavis, and they do some killer builds. But usually kind of big flashy build, and I didn't want to come up with a micro ATX build and have it sitting there like, no, let's do something big. So where I work in our data center, we had this chassis that had been sitting there for 13 years. It was due to be retired after 10, so it was way past its useful life, and so I retired it and yanked the hardware out of it. And there we were with this beautiful 1998 IBM F50 RIS 6000 server. So
you just grabbed it from work? I mean, did they just notice it that it's gone lately, or?
Yeah, hopefully they don't notice it. It was interesting. At work, I work in the IT department, so everybody loves case modding some of the hardware. So they support, my colleagues support me a lot. And I, made sure it was cool to take the chassis and that we could retire it in the system. But one of the questions we did get asked on the Q&A afterwards was, is your company going to miss that chassis? And it actually just got an email on my phone from one of the guys that used to admin that server telling me congratulations. So I was like, nah, I don't think they'll miss it. So, yeah, I mean, we might miss it just a little bit sentimentally, but we won't trip over it anymore because it's not a rack mount chassis. It didn't fit very well in the data center. It had to sit somewhere. So
it's pretty cool. I mean, I never would have really thought of going that route, and then Rod, talked to me about it, and I was like, yeah, I started kind of picturing it, and at first I thought he was wanting to do like full retro, like let's just change it all up, mod the crap out of it, and then we would repaint it all beige and make it look like it was beige, stock case still and stuff. But then, he pulled me back in. He's like, no, dude, I mean, we gotta do the theme, and so it's like, oh yeah. So once I kind of started figuring out, what the vision was that Rod had, yeah, I was like, hell yeah, man, let's do that. Like you said, I mean, if we knew those guys were going to show up and try to pull off something big, so we don't want to show up there with a mini ITX or something and be like, oh yeah, look at this, isn't it cute? It's like, no, cute doesn't win, man. So, we had to come out with something that was, just different and just really got people's attention. And we could have asked any company for anything we really wanted, and we could have gotten it easy, but we wanted to have something that people can maybe scrounge up and find, somewhere and turn it into something awesome, So we just want to go full, straight up modding and just, make it interesting and make it fun. And I tell you, we sure I was actually shocked how many people looked right at it and knew exactly what it was and just thought it was the coolest thing as is. Like, they were just like, oh my God, this is amazing, and the fact that we tore into it and completely changed it, nobody like completely freaked out or anything. In fact, we had a guy, Linus came over and said, hey, we got a guy that had a comment to us that said he used to work for IBM, and he recognizes that, and he loves it and all this, and he's really excited to see what you guys are doing and all that. So we were like, oh, we wish we would have got his name because we, give him a shout out and say, hey man, hope you like what we did to your, your rig here. But it was really shocking how many people got behind the build just based on what that case was. So you know, when we looked around after we got back, we were like, God, I wonder how much you would have to pay for one of these things, you know. And it's like, wow, these are kind of expensive cases even today, you know. I mean, it's going on almost 20 years old, and man, the value of them is quite a bit. So, you know, I'm glad Rod could retire one at work.
Yeah, somebody sitting at work like, something's wrong. I need to go check this box out. It's like, what box?
So, but no, man, it's pretty cool, you know, and it's definitely big, and it was definitely heavy too. So, and it's made of some thick steel. So this is it's quite the beefy case. So.
Probably eBay searches and stuff like that probably went way up. People trying to buy these things up.
Yeah. I did notice there's one exactly like it sitting on eBay, and they want $1,000 of best offer.
Yeah.
And it's probably a running chassis, so their idea is probably to sell it to someone who just had one blow up and they need to keep their legacy system running. But I did notice that I don't think there was any watchers on it before, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of people watching it. So, you know, maybe we'll help some poor eBay sell his ancient 20-year-old chassis. There is a couple that are close to it, but not the same that you can get in the $150 to $300 range. But there's not a lot out there.
I'm thinking if we hit like the surplus stores and stuff like that, and the old recycle, now we might be able to find a truckload of those things, man. And, you know, and be the new thing, you know, start a whole new trend, you know, modding old server cases or something. Because man, they're so beefy and strong, and they're huge. You know, you can just fit so much stuff in there. I mean, you could go all out on water cooling or whatever, and so there's a lot of different ways you can take a mod with one of those. You know, it's going to take some work though, because you know the servers are set up completely different than a regular PC. But you know, and that was one of the other things. I mean, we were definitely modding. I mean, it was the definition of modding. So cutting, drilling, sanding, grinding, filing, you name it. It's everything got done to that.
Yeah, I noticed that there was like 3 different styles of modding that was actually going on. I mean, you had like what you guys were doing was the old school style, and then you had the guys like I want to call it like more advanced or kind of maybe in the middle where still had some of the old school but still had a lot of the new with the airbrushings and the designs. And then I want to call the next one like the new tech where it was, you know, 3D printing and lasers and all that stuff. Was that kind of planned, or is that you just think that everybody's style just happened to fall in those positions?
That was definitely everyone's style, just kind of falling into place. And it was really cool because 3 different builds, I think, made the whole competition more interesting. To see different techniques. I think if everybody would have had an old server and was grinding and filing it, you know, may not have had as much interest. To see the laser on one side and a grinder on the other and a bunch of airbrush, I mean, hours and hours of airbrush work. That was pretty neat to see. You know, I really hope to at some point catch the 24-hour video and like just watch the whole thing. I mean, it's a long video, but hey, I don't have to do any work while I'm watching it, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, well, why would you have to watch it? I mean, you lived it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to see the other teams. I want to see what people's reactions were, you know, like on the chat and stuff, maybe if that was possible. I mean, I just kind of feel like you kind of missed that perspective of it. But yeah, for our side of the build, we were right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, that might almost be reliving a kind of a nightmare in some cases, you know, to watch some of the stuff that went wrong or where we maybe didn't plan our timing just right so everything was moving at the same speed.
We'll be our own worst critic, you know. We'll be like, oh man, why did we do that? Or that was stupid, or you know, whatever. But no, it wasn't planned at all. I mean, there was 3 completely different styles, and I think it really made for a good show, you know, because it just was so many different ways of doing things, you know. I mean, you got the, you know, with Darth Beus and or Richard Suros and Travis, you know, they start pulling parts out of the box that are ready to assemble basically, and then they, you know, start doing some stuff with the laser cutter and the 3D printer, and you know, start customizing it like that, and then adding water cooling and custom hardline water cooling, that kind of stuff. So you know, that was kind of their modding and then Lee and Ron, they were kind of doing, they pulled a case out of the box, and then, they cut a few things, but then a lot of it was, ended up being based on the overall paint and stuff like that, and the whole theme, was really strong, so they were going for that PC gaming theme, and it was definitely very strong. With that paint job, there was, no doubt of what that was, and so that was kind of their modding, and they had some water cooling stuff that was custom too, and so really cool, and then we were just torturing ourselves with straight up like hardcore, manual labor, we had to change almost every single panel and add panels and just, we just absolutely modding, and that's, that was on purpose. We really wanted to put on a good show, and we knew that this was a world event, and so it was being broadcast live all over the world, and and it seems to me, after looking through build logs and things, that different modders from different countries have a different idea of what modding really is, and a lot of times, they'll be like, all those lazy Americans, they don't know how to use a file or jigsaw or something or whatever, So we were just trying to prove to everybody in the world, really, I guess, that we know how to mod here. We can cut and grind and drill and bend. And, we're bending sheet metal. We don't have a sheet metal rake or anything. We're using the table edge and hammers, and I'm using hammer and dolly for doing body work, and we're straightening out metal, and it was full on modding, true all the way just from start to finish, so. But,
yeah, true old school. That's what it was right at the beginning. That's how you had to do things, because you didn't have the ability to go use a laser cutter or stuff like that. Yeah. And it was about the painting and the techniques and what you did to make it a little different. And that's kind of a motto that I am too. Is the old school and everything hands on myself. Whatever I can do, all the painting and that kind of stuff. And I think what you guys showed is it's a little more work, but the end result was fantastic. And what you guys had to do, which I think you mentioned, is like you flipped over the motherboard. The whole thing is completely on the opposite side. It's everything's upside down. You had to redo the back. You guys had to do so much compared to, I hate to say, to what the other guys had planned. And I'm thinking at some point in time you guys looked and went, oh crap, are we doing the right thing? Are we ever going to finish this?
Right, yeah. The question is, did we bite off more than we can chew? And for a while there, it definitely looked like we did. I think the other part to the old school kind of modding is you actually get to design the case. And, now when you take a standard chassis, it's already got the 220 mil fans and the radiator mounts, and everything's set right. Cases today, they're pretty awesome. Compared to the beige cases that I started working with, where you're like, man, this doesn't have enough cooling for my video card. It'd been nice if they would have used something more than an 80 millimeter fan, or two of them, So, with this case, I think it had two 120s mounted internally, and then it had two vents on the side panels, which was kind of weird. So we covered both those vents on both sides. We cut our own window. We had 3 exhaust fans at the top, 2 intake fans in front. I think it's 3 120s and 2 180s. And so we got to, position the motherboard tray, position the power supply, position the cooler. All those things were our call and our design. So we got to, kind of design our case, even though with the outside we still had that old school IBM server look.
It was kind of like a scratch build, but not. We started with something, but it almost was like a scratch build, with everything we ended up doing. So.
As far as mounting the components, it wasn't any different from a scratch build, but it was inside that existing chassis.
Yeah, kind of like you're talking about, right? It's sad to say, or I don't want to really say it this way, but the manufacturers have actually taken modding out of modding.
Right.
You can buy everything almost pre-done now and just bolt it on. Yeah. And that's good. It's almost for this, I hate to say it again, this kind of generation where a lot of the kids don't have to learn how to use tools. Everything is disposable. Like us guys, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you got underneath the hood of your car. Now you can't even hardly do that. You look at it and shut the hood and say, I got to take it to somewhere else. And they don't have the ability to learn how to use these tools. And this is a good way for them to learn a skill and to have fun by doing the old school modding.
Absolutely. Yeah, and, you know, like with cars, I mean, you can buy any kind of aftermarket part you can imagine and just slap it on there, you know, and you know, kids would think they got a custom car, but in no way is that a custom car. That's just an accessorized car, you know, and you can do the same thing with cases, you know. A lot of people will show up and say, you know, check out my build or check out case mod or whatever. And all they've done is put some lights in it and some blingy fans and some other little stuff, and that's it, you know. And that's not a mod. That's, you haven't modified or cut or anything. You've added stuff, but or changed things. But I don't know, man. That's not really, to me, it's not a true definition of a mod. You know, you got to start making sparks fly, man. If you want to call it a mod, yeah. So
you guys had a lot to do, and like I said, we kind of brought it up before, but there had to have been a point where you're like 4 hours in, 8 hours in, 12 hours in, where you just went, we're not going to finish. This is not going to happen the way we wanted it to.
I think, you know, our original plan was to try to, you know, do fabrication for the first 10 to 12 hours. And so we started at 6 p.m. at night, 6 o'clock in the morning, that's our 12 hours. Sun starts to come up. And so we worked all the way through the night, and then actually one time I looked at it, and it was only 11 o'clock. I'm like, wow, we were rolling. And then we had some setbacks with our body work, and pretty soon, you know, here comes the sun, and you're like, man, this thing should be moving to the paint booth quick, but we got a lot of sanding left to do before this thing's ready for the paint booth. So, you know, it was pushing more towards 9 o'clock in the morning before we were even ready for primer. And that's, you know, right then it was like, wow, this, I don't know if we're going to make this.
Never at any time did I want to know what time it was. I did not want to know. I didn't look at my phone. I didn't look at anything. In fact, I didn't even know that there was a timer on the wall in the room where everything was going on. I never even knew that was there until after the whole thing was over. And so, you know, because I didn't want it stressing me out. Because you know how you get, like, when the clock's ticking, you know, and you start thinking about that, and it gets in your head, and it's, man, I didn't even want to know. I knew what we had to do. I was doing it as fast as we possibly could. You know, we were both just cooking right along, working as hard as we could. I mean, we took no breaks. We took no sleep time of any kind. I mean, it was like you didn't even go, you know, take a leak until you couldn't hold it anymore, man. It was just like, you know, just go, go, go the whole time. And so we were just hoping that we didn't bite off more than we could chew. And yeah, it was looking a little bit scary for a little while there. But I actually had never at any time thought that we were not going to finish it. Never at any time. Not even to the last 20 minutes. I knew we were finishing it. So I don't know about Rod, but, you know, because he was getting pretty pushy, man. I was trying to paint stuff, you know, and he's trying to stick his hand out and grab it as it's still wet, you know. I mean, he just didn't understand. I mean, I like just sprayed paint on there, dude. It's like, you know, and I had to do primer, I had to do paint, and then I had to do clear coat, you know. So there's dry times and stuff like that. You have to let it cure, you know. You can't just be grabbing, you know, wet clear coated parts and start taking them out of there, you know. But he was. But
someone had to start putting them on the board.
He was like, it's time for assembly. I'm like, it's time to let the paint dry.
You know, we stripped the power supply down, so the power supply to be reassembled and soldered back together. So there was a lot of little pieces that, you know, had to start moving so we could get this thing up to a bootable computer, which is the ultimate goal in the end.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, we pushed it every way we could to do it as fast as we could.
So I boosted just to speed things along. I kind of risked it all by boosting up all of my stuff, my primer, my paint, my clear coat. I was adding extra hardener and stuff like that, you know, like way extra hardener, trying to get it to cure like extremely fast, you know. we were already working in not the best conditions as it was, and so it was really risky just painting in the area we were anyway. You know, we're in a plastic off little makeshift little tent that we made, and the humidity was super high. There was no airflow, and I mean, temperatures weren't right. Nothing was right. You know, we have just too much going on around us. I mean, we're cutting, grinding, all this stuff, and you know, here I am painting. You know, and it's like crap's just coming right in there. You know, and getting on my fresh paint or clear coat. You know, and so it was kind of crazy, but it worked out, and luckily we didn't get any crazy stuff that went on from boosting up the catalyst or anything. So I was expecting, I'd hit it with the clear coat and it would just grab onto that paint or something and just wrinkle it all up, and we'd have to start all over, But man, it did it. So yeah, it's like a Mako paint job or Earl Scheib paint job, basically. I mean, as far as it's almost like a drive-through paint job. It was like I'd put parts in there and spray it, and Rod's got his hand out already.
Couple parts, a little dry spray on them. I grabbed the primer part and wet sand it,
Yeah.
let it dry to get it back in for the base coat. And I was just trying to vary parts, keep Bob's spray gun running the whole time.
Yeah. There may or may not be Rod's fingerprints in some of that paint job.
Now, I know it came down pretty much to right to the last minute. I think it was actually like 1 minute and 40-some seconds that you guys actually got the PC to start up.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that I think it was Team Mongoose that didn't get theirs to go.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's. Yeah.
Did they ever get that one to start up? Do you know? I mean, afterwards, or did they just say screw it, walk away from it?
I know Lee said that he was trying to figure out why it didn't post, and I haven't heard anything more on it.
I think I recall talking to him before we all parted ways, and I think at one point he said he thought he had figured out what the issue was, and it was something just a really small thing that wasn't, something maybe wasn't plugged in, or I can't remember what he said now, but whatever it was, I mean, it's just really unfortunate, that it was just something that small and trivial, that did it to him. But I mean, when you're up that long and there's so many things going on, and you got a camera crew, and they're sticking a microphone in your face, and you're in the middle of doing something, and they pull you away, and then you're like, where was I? And then so things can get missed and stuff like that. So, I'm sure it's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure it's fine. Everything, is good. And so, yeah, just at the time, it was just the pressure was on, and it was like, we just got lucky, I guess. And I mean, I don't know if we got lucky, but I mean, we plugged everything in and it turned on. So, it was, and really, I guess if there was one that was maybe not going to turn on, I would have thought possibly ours, because we even took the power supply completely apart, desoldered the power connector area and the switch and everything, and we sanded the cover down for the power supply, and then we went ahead and painted it to match and everything like that. And so, in the last hour or whatever, that was like the first thing that I got painted and clear coated so that Rod could start reassembling on the PSU, and so he just. But I took it apart, so then he had to. I was painting, so he had to figure out, where I took everything apart in there and stuff, and so and he got it right. So
yeah, make sure I read all the marks on the PCB. Like, okay, that makes sense, and look at the wires and see kind of how they're trained. Like, okay, yep, that makes sense. And power should go out of the plug and into the switch, and then back down to the board. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
I was really impressed that he just found the screws and shit that I took out of there. I mean,
me too.
I was like, stuff was flying, man, and it was messy, parts everywhere.
I know it took me a while to track down the screws for the heat sinks on the motherboard, because we took the heat sinks off the VRMs, and we took the heat sink off the Southwards there.
So we polished, we painted everything and polished this part and stuff like that too, so just to give it a nice little look and try to blend some of that in, but it doesn't quite match with the lovely orange slots here, but we were going to paint those too, so we just didn't get to that, but most of it's hidden anyway, So, but you know, that you can see and that you can see. So we.
It's actually a good look. I think they should probably do that to the next motherboards and stuff. It's really cool looking.
Yeah. Glad I bought the rights to that look because send me a check.
So what was funny is that, I mean, and truthfully, I think I told you guys before, it's like I tuned in, I think it was early on Friday morning and watching you guys, and I was talking with Tom from Modders Inc., and I'm like, these guys ain't gonna finish. You know, I would not have bet on you guys to even have finished at all. My first bet was like, I think Ron and Lee's gonna probably finish this thing first. Because I had no idea really what Richard and Travis were doing, and I don't even know if they really knew, to tell you the truth. But I think they liked playing with the lasers, and they were showing all that stuff off.
Yeah, that was fun. That laser, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But yeah, but I think, but you could see it getting towards the end. It really changed. I mean, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to Team Mongoose, but I don't know if they were getting tired or something just wasn't going right. But you could see that their attitude and stuff kind of changed, and it just, the whole game changed right there. Travis and Richard, they seemed to be pretty steady throughout the whole event, but I could see that getting towards the end, you guys were just ramping it up. I mean, it was like high or hell water. We are going to finish this thing.
I know it. At some point, I was waiting for some clear to dry before I could get on something. And they brought in some sandwiches and stuff. And I'm like, I just like grabbed a piece of bread and a bunch of meat and just slapped it together. And I'm sitting there chowing down on the sandwich. I think I was doing it like right in our workstation because I was starting to like get stuff arranged. And Travis actually told me later, he's like, I thought you guys were done at that point. I thought you I was like, oh, I sitting for the last, half mile or whatever we had to make. So,
yeah, I think your thoughts were the same thoughts that a lot of people had, because we had Linus come out and he was interviewing us, all throughout the thing, and he had said that he was really rooting for us, and even like the camera crew and those guys, everybody around there seemed like they were really rooting for us, and they were. We were being called everything from the blue-collar modders to the underdog modders to the whatever, and so we were like, whatever, man, we're just modders, We didn't worry about what anybody else thought a whole lot. We were so focused on what we were doing. I never really at any time even stopped to look to see what the other teams were doing. For all I know, they could have been completely done. It didn't matter. I mean, we had a job to do. We were just gonna do it and get as far as we possibly could, and so yeah, it was interesting, we just kept cooking right along, and Linus came up at one point and got what he say. He said, "Are you guys gonna make it or something?" And I was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna make it." And I just told him, I said, "Hey, we just been sandbagging this whole time, so we're about ready to make it happen." And he was like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, you just watch." So, it was just running on a pure adrenaline, and the paint was on, and it was everything was going good at that point, and we just had to, give it a little bit of time for the paint to dry out to where Rod could handle it, and then get each part in the room, and then I was finishing up some airbrushing on the decals and stuff, on all the whatever you call it, stencils and stuff like that, and just finishing up that, and then getting in the room to help Rod complete the build, just getting it all assembled at the very last minute. It was just kind of like this huge, just amount of work in the very beginning, and in the last 20 minutes, it was just like, put it together, now it's ready, and we just slammed it together and hit the switch, and there it was. So that was when I think the other teams were probably like, oh shit, or oh shoot, whatever. I know you can say bad words on the channel, sorry. So, yeah, I mean, I think we shocked a lot of people, and I think we gained a lot of respect from a lot of people too, just showing what you can do and what we're capable of, and really what anybody could do, just in using basic hand tools and stuff for the most part. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, Team Mongoose got a little cocky there, saying they were going to help the other teams finish thirds and all that other stuff. And I think they kind of came back and bit them in the ass.
Yeah, that was kind of funny because really, when they said that, I thought, you know what, we might end up needing their help.
Yeah,
you know?
and we would have taken it. Like Lee and Ron both, they were willing to help us out.
And they're pretty talented guys. I was kind of thinking, I was like, well, shoot, towards the end, we're going to be doing airbrushing. Well, wow, there's the best airbrusher in the room.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing system building. You know, we're going to be slapping this thing together. And Lee's he builds fantastic systems with all the hardline.
We couldn't ask for better help. It was right there, at our disposal.
Perfect. And, I think the same thing, if we could have gotten down early, I don't think that was really in the cards, but, I think we would have liked to, pitch in and help them get theirs done. But,
and hey, man, at the end of the day, we all love each other. I mean, we're all modders. We're all in the same thing. It's just like a bunch of dudes that all share the same passion, and I mean, if something would have happened to them or whatever, I mean, we would have helped in any way that we could, and before we got, or I think while we were going, one of the things we did was just as a goodwill gesture, we gave them all light kits and stuff, and also key switches, because we have LED lighting kits and stuff. So I had brought some little boxes and had planned to give them to them and stuff, and didn't tell them ahead of time, but just at one point we threw the kits in the boxes and wrote a little note that said, from Team BSMODS and whatever, and so they were going to use those in their builds. Now, they actually never got done to where they could put that stuff in there, so I'm going to have to send them an invoice or something that will, or whatever. But no, they, and so it's just, we. And they're good guys. They would have helped us if we would have needed it, and we would have let them. I mean, that would have been great. So, but just everything came down to the wire. So.
Yeah, I mean, what's kind of cool. I mean, I've always noticed that the modding community has always been kind of like that. Of course, you do have your dicks and your assholes, but 99% of the people out there are willing to do anything. They will drop what they're doing to help you, to figure something out, give you directions. I mean. It's what we're about, and we're one of those communities where we all learn, either by teaching somebody or by learning from somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how difficult was it? So I know you guys, you're in the zone, and you're really just going 1,000 miles an hour, probably plus, and all of a sudden somebody comes up with a microphone and says, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I don't have patience myself personally, and we all knew it was going to be part of the deal. We had to stop and answer questions and stuff like that, and we didn't really mind a whole lot, but I don't know, I'm not a grouchy bastard or anything, but it was just like I feel kind of bad now. I probably have to apologize to Linus, because at one point, early on, he came up to me, and I was right in the middle. I think I had a hammer in one hand and a dolly in the other, and I was straightening out some sheet metal, and he comes up, and I'm in the middle of doing it, and he's like, "Oh, let's get down here and see what BSMODS is doing," and he's like, shoves the camera in my mouth, or the microphone in my mouth, and he's like, "Tell me what you're doing," and I'm like, "Really, dude?" So I just looked at him, and I just probably said, "Modding." And he was like, "Okay, let's talk to the nice guy." So it's like, "Hi, Rod." And so,
what's going on?
Yeah, and so.
What I really want to know, though, is what did you say? Because it was so muffled that we couldn't tell when you were out there painting, and he stuck the microphone in your face, and you were like, and the reaction on his face was like, I don't know if he just cussed me out or what he said. He had no way of retaliating to that.
At one point, it was, I don't know how many hours I'd been out there, but let's just be honest, I had a few paint fumes in me. And I saw him out there. I looked through my little peek holes in my little tent, and I was like, camera crew, huh? Okay, so, I run out there. I got my respirator on, and all this stuff, and I walk over to him. I got my hand out, and so he's like, "Oh, looks like, BSMODS is coming out of the paint booth, and so I walked up there, and I just grabbed the mic out of his hand, and I just started going, and I just mumbled some phrases from one of the characters in TF2, the Pyro, And I mean, I didn't really say anything. I was just kind of like, you know, and the look on his face was priceless. He was absolutely terrified because here's this maniac high on paint cans that just grabbed his microphone on live, you know, broadcasting, and he's just, oh my God. And so
this guy is tired and he's high on fumes. Or is he gonna rip my head off?
Yeah, yeah. And he didn't fight me for the mic or anything, you know. So but I politely gave it back. It may or may not have had some paint on it when I handed it back. I'm not sure. It didn't look. So if I did, I'm sorry. But no, you know, he took it well, and I feel like I might have been a little rough on him a couple times or something. I don't know. Maybe he didn't think anything of it. But you know, that's just how I am. I'm sorry.
Overall, you know, we had a good time with
Yeah.
Linus and Luke and the camera crew and stuff. The camera crew's got behind the scenes, but they're there, and you know, as soon as they're finished done recording, you know, they start asking more questions and stuff.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool to have, you know, that audience, that live audience, kind of right there too, kind of giving you some feedback, because we weren't really getting a lot. Every once in a while we'd hear something, but we're getting a lot of feedback, you know, from the video audience. You know, we're kind of disconnected from them, so it was kind of cool to have that live interaction stuff.
Yeah, we were always in that courtyard out there. We were never in the room. I just assumed the other teams were, everybody else was like all in that room on the cameras the whole time, you know. And I told Rod, I said, man, dude, nobody's even going to know that we're here. Like, they're just going to think we left or something, because other than Linus coming out and talking to us, you know, you would have never even seen us. I mean, we did buzz in the room a couple times and buzz back out, like actually physically running to grab stuff. But other than that, you know, just you really wouldn't even know what we were up to or that we were there, you know. And one of the coolest things they did is at some point they'll throw it online or something. But since Rod and we told them, you know, we're going to be out here all night, you know, they set up a time lapse out there in the courtyard where we were working. And so it started from the time, you know, early in the day. And so here it's daylight, you know, we're out there working away, and then pretty soon it's dark, and then all of a sudden the next morning the sun comes back up, and here we are still working away, you know. And so that should be pretty cool. So hopefully we can get our hands on that at some point, you know, just to kind of check it out. It should be kind of funny to watch, you know. But so yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff going on actually, as far as all that goes.
So when the computer when it finally posted, I think you said it was like a minute and 40-some seconds to go. I mean, what was the reaction on the inside? I know you guys didn't do too much reactions on the outside, but on the inside it just must have been just like hallelujah.
Yeah, you know, I think we were pretty wiped out, so there wasn't. I think I raised my hands and I was probably, you know, like, too much pain. But on the inside, man, you just kind of feel the weight just kind of like slide off, and you're like, you know, we made it. We got to the top of the mountain here. This might be a little rough, might be a little banged up and stuff, but wow, look at this is a cool mod. You know, like we want to keep it now. I mean, it was big, and the white was, you know, nice bold and green cables and stuff, and it's a cool mod. And tonight, you know, we were working on finishing it up, and we put the lighting kit in, and none of the teams got any of their lighting done. And lighting is such a cool moment in a case mod, because you've got all this stuff built. It's kind of like when you paint your house or something like that. All of a sudden, it like kind of comes alive. It's still the same shape and everything, but it just comes alive. And to watch that thing light up and, you know, knock through the RGB colors and stuff, it's like, whoa, this thing is gonna look slick. You know, once we get we'll get the motherboard back in it and everything, and the GTX 980s in it. And that's gonna be a slick looking machine. But I think that was kind of the thing. It wasn't all, you know, it wasn't as exactly like we wanted to have it, like we had a picture in our mind stuff. But man, when the side panels went on and the post, it was like, whoa, we got it, we made it.
Yeah, it was like, well, you know what? You just hit on something. It's, you know, us giving those guys lights could have been our downfall.
Yeah, I think if any team would have got their lighting kit in, they were automatically going to win.
Yeah,
just because of what it does to
none of us had lights installed in our rigs at that point. And, you know, that really, like Rod just said, it really makes things come alive, you know. It just is such an impact. Man, if those other guys would have had their lights installed, wow. that possibly could have been a bad thing for us. You know, our generosity could have got us, you know, knocked out. But you know, but whatever, that's fine. You know, so but yeah, I'm just glad that it didn't happen, I guess. But yeah, just getting it to post was like, oh, the feeling was like fantastic. It reminds me of something kind of like sex. You know, it's like, you know, you're getting closer, and then pow, it's on. It works.
I guess you could say that because right after that it was like, oh, it's time for a nap.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of was too. Yeah.
I think at that point,
Like,
you realize that, yeah, we can start to wind down, and it was crazy because here we are, you know, we're about 5:30 at night or something like that, and I don't think we made it to bed till almost midnight. You know, we got back to the hotel at 11 or something like that. So there was still a long road ahead.
We're wiped out, and it's like, who could sleep at a time like this?
Yeah. After you win, you kind of had that another boost of adrenaline, and you were physically beat. Your feet were tired. I know my feet were hurting and stuff, but it was so exciting, you know, to like watch the whole event, you know.
And that was after, I mean, afterwards we all went to dinner, had a couple drinks and everything. You know, normally that just knocked you right out. Man, we were like, this is the greatest, you know, it's party, woo! You know, it's, so, no, man, it was exciting, you know. It was really just a fun time, so I'm glad we were part of it.
I know you guys you were out of the room when they actually did the judging and stuff, so I'm guessing that you guys were all staged in a little room. Were you trying to eavesdrop and see what they were saying, or was there any, like, talk between you guys, like, oh, you guys won, or no, you guys kicked ass, or you know, what was going on behind the scenes there? Because nobody saw that. I mean, we couldn't see anything that you guys were doing.
Yeah, I think we spent a little time out there, you know. I mean, we talked to each other a little bit, and, you know, we took turns slapping each other's ass and telling the other guy how awesome they were and stuff like that. But, you know, I mean, it was, no, you know, you know, they were trying to tell us, you know, you guys have earned it, you know, you worked so hard. And, I mean, those guys certainly gave us credit for how hard we worked. They saw, I mean, we were really hustling, and you know, and I mean, we give them credit too. I mean, everything that everybody did, it was still a lot to try to pull off in that time period, you know, so. And no matter which build you look at, and no matter which route people took for stuff, it still came down to the wire. You know, I mean, we were right there at the very last second, and not really any of us were 100% finished. You know, so yeah, it was. But yeah, I mean, we weren't eavesdropping or anything like that. I mean, it was just so much going on. You know, that. The judges went in and they were talking, and then what we did is we took turns. Each team would go in and then have our say with the judges about our mod, and basically try to sell them on our mod or whatever, you know, or just point out what we did and things like that. And so then they deliberated and whatever a little bit, and then that was it. So, you know, it was all based on a point system, and there were a certain amount of points for certain criteria, and so you know, just like any judging of something, you know, it wasn't like, well, I kind of like that one the best. I mean, they actually had points, and I think that might have confused some people at the end, you know, because the three judges spoke about which one they liked more or whatever, but there were also points based on categories, so I think we just ended up overall with the most points, even though it sounded like a couple of the judges kind of favored Ron and Lee's build, but just points, and then ours posted too. And I think it sounded like it may have been a tie, other than the fact that ours posted and theirs didn't. Possibly, we don't know 100% that, but you know, there was some talk of that, and so it literally might have come down to that, whether ours posted or theirs posted or whatever. So.
Yeah, I noticed you guys' reaction when they actually announced the winners. I mean, it was just like wide eyes and wide mouths, like, what, really? Us?
Yeah, I was really shocked, to be honest. I mean, not that I don't think we deserved it, but it was just, I don't know, I guess, you know, I just, I mean, I'm looking at that rig that, you know, Travis and Richard did, and it's just like, wow, that's just so over the top and so impressive. And, you know, and I really didn't know, you know, if the judges had watched, like, everything that we did. Like, do they know what led up to this? Did they see the before picture and then now they're seeing the after? Did they just come in here and go, oh, which one's the prettiest? You know, I mean, we didn't really know, you know, at the time. And so, and then they had a good mix of the judges too, you know. So, so that was kind of cool too, that there were different views from, you know, different parts of, you know, just every field and whatever. And so, you know, I think the judging was fair, and, you know, I think we're all winners. Everybody's a winner, and it really, you know, I mean, we brought home slightly more GTX 980s. I mean, I'm not bragging, but you know, it's let's just say our payload was a little heavier, but so, no, you know, we all did great, and so, you know, I actually felt bad. I don't know why. I feel bad for other people if they don't win, I guess, or something, you know, stuff like that. And they may or may not have cared. I don't know, but I just feel bad, you know, because I know that we all worked hard and we all wanted it, you know. And I mean, we all even in the beginning said we don't really care who wins. I mean, just the fact that we're here and that we're participating and that, you know, we're doing this, it's just a huge win already. So, you know, and you know, and if we wouldn't have won, I think I would have still been just as happy. So, but I'm not giving up the crown just yet.
So, are you ready to do another competition like this? I mean,
Yeah.
is there talk about next year, and maybe you guys defend the crown, or what's the rumor mill right now?
So I know that they want to do another one. I think that was part of the plan all along. One of the things they told us that the winners would be invited back to the next one, possibly to participate as judges. Kind of looking back at it now, you know, it's like, man, no, you want to defend that. You want to, you know, bring in 3 more teams and let's try again. Let's see what we can do. You know, like that was our first 24-hour mod competition. We can do better. We learned a lot. Just like any build. Except this build, you know, that 24 hours, that was a lot of the learning process. Is how do you speed these things along? How do you keep things moving? And how do both guys keep working at the same time? There was some stuff where we needed, you know, help cutting panels and stuff like that, but a lot of the time it was you're working on the front panel, you're working on the side panel, you're cutting holes, you're sanding, you're doing body work, trying to keep everything moving at the same time. So I think we learned a lot that way, and we can do better. You know, we can build more. If we get to do it again.
Yeah, I think next time that we do 2 mods, then everybody else does 1. No,
Do you think they'll try and make it international? I mean, I heard of some of the grumblings too, that some of the people were like, "Oh, it's all U.S. modders. There's nobody from overseas."
Yeah, but this was the, you know, people need to understand. I mean, just the amount of resources that it took just to pull this off was crazy. That entire NVIDIA campus was emptied out because they had teams of people that worked at NVIDIA were scattered all over the world. For, you know, this was, Mod24 was part of Game 24, and so there were 5 or 6 different events going on all at the same time. Man, they had all hands on deck, and it was a lot. So being the first one, it's a little bit scary too, you know. You got to figure just, you know, trying to get us there, and, you know, we're fairly local and stuff, you know, and just all the logistics behind it. It was pretty crazy, and I would not be surprised if they do on the next one possibly reach out, you know, to other people in different countries or whatever and stuff. But you know, for the first one to kick it off, I mean, come on, give them a break. It's not that easy, man. You know, that's a lot to try to take on. Just, you know, and then putting in, you know, extra trouble of, you know, international people, and then what if they can't speak English, or you know, what all, I mean, there's so many variables, you know, and it just could get a little bit crazy. So
I know that, you know, even to watch the, you know, the camera crews were there the whole time. And they got some breaks, and Lance and Luke were there the whole time. And, you know, I think they got a couple, you know, breaks, but, you know, they were working to start too. The end, the people behind the scenes at NVIDIA really put forth a lot. I know, you know, like we're setting up tools and stuff, and I go, we got a 9 o'clock conference call. This is 9 p.m. like, you know, the night before or something like that. And, you know, and they would come in the morning, and we went home, and I think they finally went home maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, and maybe even some of them stayed there. But you know, those guys were putting in. I have no idea how many hours they put forth that week, but it was a ridiculous amount of hours.
yeah.
So the effort to put this whole thing on was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I think one of them, I think it was Patty, said that when we got there in the morning, and I said, "Oh, did you get any sleep?" And she just kind of had this funny look on her face, and she said, 1 hour. And I was like, "All right, now you're getting ready to do a whole 24." So, you know, poor girl, you know, but she was a trooper, man. She did it, you know, she did a good job. And then Romeo, the kid there at NVIDIA that, you know, kind of was in charge of getting all this thing together and stuff with us, he, you know, that poor guy, it was his birthday and stuff, and so he was there setting all this up on his birthday, and he's got young kids, and we felt bad, you know, we wanted him to go home and see his family, so I think he snuck home for an hour or so, but that was about it, you know, and so he had to be back over there with meetings and stuff, and so, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people that put a lot of hard work and stuff into this thing, so, I mean, they're really to be commended for it, too, so hopefully they all got huge attaboys after this, because this wasn't easy. I mean, there was, you know, being a live thing too just increases the amount of work that's there, because, you know, the production crew, they had to have redundancy on everything. I mean, they brought backup systems for every single thing that could possibly go wrong. So they're doing double the work, you know, because live feed, man, if one camera goes down, it's just down. I mean, you know, so yeah, they had backups for everything, and so there was a lot of extra work there, and so I mean, we were working hard, but we weren't the only ones.
So now that you guys are like international superstars for case modding and stuff, I mean, what do you guys got planned next?
So next up, you know, we're getting towards CES. So we're getting some builds ready for CES. We've got a couple builds they're kind of exciting. There's something new that we haven't tried before. We're going to learn some stuff. So getting those builds on the bench and starting to cut those apart and destroy whatever hardware we're working with is going to be a lot of fun. So we've got a bunch of builds coming up, and CES is going to be a blast. I can't wait to head down there and you know, see what's on the horizon for yet, you know, the next maybe couple of years and stuff. So that's kind of our big focus right now.
Did you say, I'm sorry, Dwayne, did you say international stars, or did you say superstars?
You can take it any way you want. I'm sure you probably heard superstars, but I think I said star.
No, you know, hey, we're just the same two guys that, you know, just like making sparks, man. You know, we aren't letting it go to our heads or anything. Although, I mean, we are starting a new T-shirt line and a line of new shoes, and then we're also selling calendars.
Nice.
And starting a beer. Yeah, we have a BSMODS brewery that we're starting. No, none of that's
nice,
true.
a microbrewery. That'd be cool.
No. We don't even have one single groupie, so I don't think that we're actually stars at all. So, but no, you know, we're just the same two guys, man. You know, but yeah, we have some really good stuff planned every year. As you know, we go to CES, a Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and we haul down a load of cool mods for a lot of different companies and stuff. But we did scale back a little bit this year on how many we take down. Just because it's so much work, you know, just get these things put together. And every one of them has to be cooler than the next, you know, so it's like, you know, we got to always have that wow factor, and then we always try to push the envelope and do things that nobody's ever done before. And so there's a lot of work that goes into them, you know, and so yeah, like Rod said, we've got some really cool things coming this year, and you know, we're gonna we're going to try to share some of what we're doing on some work logs again, and get work logs going again, because we kind of fell off the wagon a little bit with that because of just being overworked, you know, and we want to get back to where we're communicating with, you know, other modders and stuff like that, and showing off the work and showing off the ways we do things, and helping other modders out, you know, if they have questions or whatever. I mean, we're here to help too. And in fact, you know, even at our shop, I mean, we kind of have an open door policy. You know, if people want to come here and work on stuff or whatever, we're more willing to help, or whatever, show them what they need to do and that kind of stuff. So, so yeah, it's you know, we've got a lot going on, and you know, we'll definitely be putting some work logs up, and so you guys will be able to check them out and stuff.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit before, like the work log is kind of a lost art, and I'm sure that's where I learned a lot of things and was able to teach other people things, and I know you guys would have a lot to be able to contribute to people, show them how you did certain things, and you can really get to ask questions instead of like on Facebook and stuff where it's just a blurb that goes by for 2 seconds. You know, and if you miss it, you miss it. But the work logs are always there, and you can always go back and see that kind of stuff. And I'm ready for that resurgence too, and I hope that the other people get behind that and really see how much it contributes to the community, no matter where you go.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and the work log is something that, you know, it's worldwide. I mean, it joins not just, you know, local people or people that you know that are your friends or anything. I mean, you're actually joining people across the entire world together, and you know, and you all communicate, and you can all learn from each other. I mean, I've learned things from people that I don't even know what language they were speaking, or typing, or I should say typing, you know, or whatever and stuff. And I'm just looking at the pictures, and I see maybe something that they did, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, and it's just like, you know, you just pick up little things along the way. And, you know, and if that's what we can do for other people, I mean, you know, we're hoping that we can, you know, not just help people out, but also maybe inspire people to push the limits a little bit themselves, or pick up a different tool than they're used to, or just even start doing something at all, you know, just start modding, you know. And so we weren't born with the skills and stuff. I mean, we worked our way to where we are, and hey, we've screwed a lot of stuff up along the way, man. I mean, not only have we voided a lot of warranties, but we flat out screwed a lot of shit up. I mean, you know, but we learned from it, you know, and I guess that's the difference. If you screw it up once and you learn from it, that's good. If you screw it up 3 times and you still don't learn, well, I'm sorry to help you.
Well, I'd like to say personally that I'd like to say thank you to Lee and Ron and Richard and Travis and both of you guys to devote 24 hours to this modding event. It actually shows for the world of our hobby, and it really kind of brought to a lot of people's eyes, like, well, what the hell is case modding? You know, I've tried to explain it to some people sometimes, and it's like I consider like hot rodding for computer cases, and they kind of get it, but unless they see it, they really don't understand what it is, and how much dedication and work and skill actually goes into doing this stuff. It's just not, you know, putting some stickers on there and going, hey, it's a modded case, or putting in some LED lights. You really have to do something to make it your own and really personalize it. And, you know, thank you guys for really bringing this internationally to everybody to see, and hopefully this community will grow because of it.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, it's you know, it is difficult explaining to people really what case modding is. You know, if there's somebody that isn't into gaming or going to LAN parties or anything, man, you know, I kind of gave up on trying to explain it, because, you know, you know, people say, now, what do you do exactly? You know, and so you tell them, well, I mod, you know, computer cases, and I take them and I cut them up and I do all this stuff, and it's like, it's just like this blank, you know, this blank work, and you're just like, forget it. So I just make something else up, you know. It's just like, oh, I just work on people's computers for them. And they're like, oh, okay. It's like, you know, and then even like, it's funny when I go to the hardware store, and I'm just trying to like look for stuff on my own, right? Like, so one of the things I do to get ideas about things is that I go row by row in hardware stores. And it maybe not just a hardware store, it could be a hobby store, or I even go to Joann's Fabrics for crying out loud. And I like go row by row, and I'm just looking for anything that jumps out at me that isn't for that particular mod I'm working on right then, but just maybe in the future I might be able to use it or incorporate it or use it as a shape or use it as a texture or a whatever, something, right? And, you know, like I'll go to my local Ace Hardware, you know, and the guy comes up and I'm looking through the different aisles and he's like, can I help you find something? And I don't really know what I'm looking for, right? Because I'm not really looking for anything, but I'll know when I see it, you know. And so I tell him no, and he walks away, and then pretty soon he comes back and he sees I'm going row by row, and he thinks I'm lost. So he's, you know, they're like, are you sure there isn't anything I can help you with? What are you working on? And I just love it because I go, well, yeah, you know, I'm standing in an aisle full of like pipe fittings or something, and I go, well, I'm working on a computer. And you can just hear the picture. I'm just like, because I'm looking at pipe fittings, and they're thinking, computer, pipe fittings, just doesn't, I don't know, you know, and I'm like, well, thanks for helping. But
no, Acer, man, those are just the best places because I got one right by my house, and I mean, when you want those little nuts or bolts or the odd sizes or the millimeters or any of that crazy stuff, man, they have got it. You know, and it just makes it so convenient that I can go like a mile away, grab what I need, and come back.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, you know, here at the shop, I mean, if you saw our stash of stuff, it's like, what the hell is all this stuff? I mean, we got stuff in bins that you just don't even know what it goes to. Like, but you know what? We might use it. I mean, it might come in handy. I mean, we've made, like on the Throne Industrial mod, you know, we were looking for some kind of weird mesh. You know, we had this. What did we do? The reservoir. So we had a reservoir, and we were trying to make this reservoir look like part of the industrial theme build, you know. And so I found chrome coil brackets for a car, for an old car that had the old round, you know, oil-filled coils, you know. And I got 2 of those, so those were brackets, top and bottom. And then I found some screen that you'd normally use in your gutter to keep the leaves and crap out. You know, so I just wrapped some of that screen around it and then put those brackets over it, and it looks like a cool industrial filter of some kind or something, you know. And so, I mean, you just never know, you know, what you're going to use. And so, I mean, we've got crazy stuff. It's like I don't even know what. It's like a swap meet of crap. It's just, but hey, we're gonna use it, man. So.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I save just about everything. I get the same thing at like junk drawers, and I just put stuff in there. And every once in a while, I go through them just to refresh my memory. So when I'm working on stuff, they go, "Oh yeah,
that's right.
I know it would work." And you go over there and you pull it out. It's like, son of a bitch, that's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I think everybody has one junk drawer at least, you know, but we got like 10. You know, and boxes too.
Yeah, Rubbermaid's in my shop, and I'm like, that's just a mod Rubbermaid. And there's pieces of aluminum and steel, and you know, I got a Rubbermaid that I just put like wire and electrical stuff. It's got like, if something dies, electric drill or something, I take the switch off it, and add the chuck and the cord, and you know, maybe this armature electric motor piece and the fan piece that's on. I'll throw that in the box, you know, and stuff.
I prefer to say that we just don't waste anything.
You know, and at work we retire servers, and I'm like, oh man, this is a weird fan blade and stuff. And it's too noisy to put in a regular machine, but maybe we can take the fan blade and use it for something. You know, this is a reactor core or something like that. You know, all kinds of, you know, weird stuff, but it makes it a lot of fun when you're putting something together and you're like, wow, this is perfect. perfect, you know?
Yeah, I think if you look through our history of builds too, you'll kind of see we don't do anything twice. Like, I mean, everything for the most part that I can think of, there's always something different, or just we're always trying to create different ways of doing things, or just dress them up, or just different products or items or whatever. Different types of paints, different textures, different, on and on and on. Even different acrylics, different metals, different expanded metals. We don't want to get caught in a rut of just doing the same thing every single time, and having people recognize that everything looks the same, but it's just maybe a different color or something. I mean, I even bedazzled some frickin' memory once. I mean, come on.
After it was painted pink.
Yeah.
I remember that case. I saw that was CES.
Yeah, that pink girly one there.
Yeah.
And I even used zebra print fur to line the drawer. So, I mean, hey, we're flexible.
Hey, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably start wrapping this up, guys. I thank you again for the opportunity to talk to you and let everybody really get maybe a behind-the-scenes look at everything, even though they got to see it for 24 hours, but really get your thought process and what was going through and what you had to endure to do this. And again, appreciate all you guys for doing that. You guys were all winners. But of course, there was only one winner, and you guys deserved it for the amount of work that you had to do, because you really had the most amount, I think, laid out and planned to do. And I'm just really happy that you guys were able to complete it and finish it and it posted up. And I mean, applause to you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you much. I mean, we had a lot of good followers. We had a lot of people that were really rooting for us, so it really helped. I mean, I know I had my daughter, Robin, man. She was trying to text me, and I didn't know for the longest time because I never wanted to look at my phone to see what time it was. But when I finally did look just once, my phone was going off and off, and I was like, leave me alone. And I finally looked, and I was like, oh man, that was when it was like time to pour on the coal, man, because we're winning this thing, and I was wanting to win it for my little girl, well, she's 25 or whatever, but she's still my little girl, But and then Rod, I mean, his family, and the gamer group.
Our gaming group, Team TV, all those guys were like watching the stream at crazy hours. They're getting up early before work to tune into the stream to see if we were still alive or if we passed out in the paint booth or what was going on. And my family was watching it, and they were having their friends watch it. And I was getting text messages and Facebook messages, and my Twitter account became active all of a sudden. And, so many people pushing for you and rooting for you and asking questions and stuff. And that was pretty cool to have all those friends, the guys from PDX land and GW land, and modders that met along the way and stuff, pulling for you and rooting for you. That really meant a lot, and it gave you the drive to work as hard as you can. We had the sweat coming off your brow, and just going and not going to stop. So that falling, that was huge. That was something I didn't expect, going into it. To have that many people rooting for it, and then to see the outsiders start to come in, where they're like, yeah, I posted to my Facebook. Here's the stream thing you can follow, and someone who doesn't know case mining at all is all of a sudden excited to see what you're building, because they get to see this creation come to life. And I think it's a lot like a lot of the TV that we watch, where we see someone dig for gold or build a house or all that stuff, and it's someone building something. It's fun to watch. It's like art, we're creating things, and so. But yeah, it was cool. We even had so many followers we didn't realize, at the time. And then after the fact, we get to start going through the Facebook posts and everything. And man, it was so cool. We had a lot of the marketing managers and stuff from the different companies that we work with, and they're typing in stuff like "good luck" and "we know you're gonna win" and stuff like that. It was just so awesome. We felt so good that people took time out of their lives, and
although I think a couple of the marketing managers were actually partying at part of the Game 24 thing somewhere else, and they're just kind of like taking the time to, you know, but still, hey, we'll take that, man, you know. So, but no, good for them, you know, and they were just, you know, really supporting us, and so I guess we just didn't, you know, we didn't realize how many friends we had, you know, and stuff like that. And it just felt really good to have people out there just rooting for us, you know. And so we are very, very thankful for them, because I think it really did make a difference for us too, you know, because we were caught up in everything going around us, and just the brief couple times that, you know, Rod jumped on the, you know, phone to check posts or whatever, and he would say, hey man, check this out, you know, and he would tell me what was going on. It was just like, wow, that's killer. It just puts a smile on your face, and it's just like time to haul ass, man, and just make this thing happen, you know. So yeah, I mean, there's no way we could possibly thank everybody, you know, but I mean, you know, individually, but I mean, just, I guess we just have to say thank you to everybody, you know, in general. So, but yeah, hopefully we can do it again, and hopefully the BSMODS crew will, you know, reign champion, you know, again. And I tell you what, though, it's pretty tough when people are really gunning for you. You know, so we'll have to start working out or something, man. You know, so I don't know. But yeah, thank you, Dwayne, because you know, you're just you're keeping this thing alive too with Mars Inc. and stuff, and just you know, and just, you know, like this call here and everything like that too. So, you know, we want to try to help and support you if we can too somehow. And so, you know, we're gonna definitely get on there and post up some stuff on some Google blogs and try to drive some more traffic for you too. So
definitely, thank you. I appreciate it.
Also, we also consider you one of the best modders in the world. Just, you know, throwing that out there. So, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll be we'll be seeing you at one of those tables on the next one as the challenger or something, man. You know.
I'm ready for it.
I know. I know. You have us worried, man. Jeez. So, but you know, you never know. I mean, who it's going to be or whatever. And so, but yeah, thanks again, really, for taking time out to, you know, get a hold of us and stuff too. So we're actually literally in the middle of modding right now. We just took some time to get on the call here, but so if you aren't busy, come on over. We've got a lot to do right now. So
you might see me. I mean, I've been thinking about trying to get up there and go back to another PDX, and then hit up Tom, because Tom's up in Salem, and then I guess we can go a little bit more north and hit you guys up.
Yeah, if you could squeeze in a day before or after PDX Land or something, you want to see the shop and check it out, you know, you're always welcome here.
Oh yeah, because the next one's going to be in November, right?
There's a November one, and then the next big event with the case mod competition and everything will be the February event. So,
okay, so right after CES.
Yeah, it's towards the end of February, so you got a little over a month, I think, between CES and PDX Land. So it's not terrible, but it's pretty close.
We should probably mention too that and this isn't like a shameless plug or anything, but CPU Magazine is also going to cover this Mod24 thing, and they were very interested in it, and of course they've always supported all the modders, you know, because that's one magazine that, you know, there's a case mod on the cover every month, you know, and so they're always there to support us, and they were definitely interested in this, and they got in touch with NVIDIA, and so there will probably be some article, you know, here in the next coming months, and so that's kind of cool. It's so good that there's somebody or, you know, an organization like that out there that you know, puts a magazine in front of people and shows us off, you know, shows our work off and talks about stuff that we want to talk about or that we want to see, you know. So yeah, huge props to those guys, and so hopefully, you know, that continues, and I think it will, and I think that just this whole contest and everything is going to bump modding up that next step, you know, and so just, you know, kind of want to throw that out there to those guys too. So appreciate it.
Yeah, CPU has been a great a friend of ours too. I mean, they do for QuakeCon. They actually give out $500 to the 3 winners, and they cover it all through there. And they've always been. I mean, since I've known them since like 2006, it's always been a big thing about case modding, and a lot of part of their magazine is about that. And it's hard to find somebody who's willing to keep the dedication of that, keeping on going and keeping it in front of people. You don't see that very often.
No, it's fantastic. So they really support us big time, you know. So I don't know what we can do to support them. I feel bad. I feel like we just take or something, you know. We don't give. I mean, I don't know what we can do, I guess, but you know, yeah, it's definitely nice because there's a lot of computer related magazines out there, but they're the only ones I know of that are really focused on modding, you know. So.
Well, I think just creating the kick-ass mods that you guys do, and I think that's how you'll keep them going.
Well, all of us, you know. I mean, I think that if we prove that there's interest out there and people are, you know, grabbing that magazine and stuff, that'll keep them alive, you know. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd like to you know, appreciate you guys' time and stuff, and you know, let's keep this going. We'll have to do this again, another follow-up, maybe in a couple of months, see what you guys are doing, or maybe we'll do something live at CES. You know, if we're all not too hammered.
Yeah. Well,
I want to do it early on, you know, day one.
Yeah, yeah. Let's make sure it's, you know, over with before, like, say 3 in the afternoon or something, you know. We don't want to be any kind of, you know, anybody taking any mod enhancing, you know, beverages or anything, you know. So.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, and you know, have a great night, and you know, be safe and keep on modding, man.
Yeah.
All right. You do the same.
We're about to. So. All right. See you, Dwayne. Thanks, man.
See you later.
Yeah.